sānurāgāṃ striyaṃ dṛṣṭvā mṛtyuṃ samupasthitam avihvalamanāḥ svastho mukta mahāśayaḥ. The noble-minded one is not perturbed and remains self-poised at the sight of a woman full of passion, as well as of approaching death. He is indeed liberated. The two visualizations given in this verse, one is a sight of woman full of passion, and the other one is death approaching. Two extreme situations are given in this verse. One is desire or lower passion at its peak, sight of woman approaching, and another is fear at its peak, death approaching. My vasana or any previous experience had fills me with passion on the sight of a sensuous woman. When there are no previous experiences, then it is your physical identity with your body that makes you excited on seeing a woman approaching you. This one example should not be limited only to this sight of a woman approaching, but to all other objects in the world which can entice or attract a human being. Depending upon the sanskaras, for someone it might be woman, for someone it might be power, someone it may be lot of wealth, etc. So it has to include all possibilities in life which can make one desire to live and to enjoy. You remember a verse in which two extremely opposite aspects was dealt. Brahma to a blade of grass. One is mightiest and the other one is most insignificant. In this verse, woman approaching with passion signifies something which arouses your lowest passion, leaving you with desire to live more and more and enjoy more and more. Whereas death is extremely opposite for the desire to live. Since a jiva identifies himself with his body mind, he is attracted to so many things in the world. When his mind conveys to him that they may satisfy him in some way or the other. For each jiva, these objects may be different. Sometimes common, sometimes totally different. It is the mind which takes the first initiative, and then your body your senses respond accordingly. Similarly, my identity about my existence fills me with fear when my death is told to me in advance, this date, this month, this year. For the one who has mastered his mind, or rather transcended his mind, nothing in the world can attract him in any way, not even physically. If the root cause of vasanas, desire, fear, the body identity itself is not there at all, then what would perhaps happen? Women, whatever eyes see is not carried to the senses. One can experience only self there. To few devotees, this particular episode has been shared earlier from Chinmaya's commentary, but for others to know how for a liberated seer, even the sight of woman is just self, it is repeated here. When the great courtesan, beautifully dressed in muslin and pearls, carrying fruits in a plate, at dead of night approached the temple where Buddha was resting for the day and knocked at the door, the Lord of Compassion woke up, opened the door, and met the lusty girl who had reached to tempt the young brilliant man in Buddha. Unperturbed, the man of peace smilingly approached her, touched her feet, and with head bent in humble reverence said, "Mother, how can your son serve you?" With tears falling from her eyes, she fell prostrate, apologized, and returned to her nearby residence. In time, she became one of the greatest workers in the master's camp. Here, treating that lusty woman as mother is also at the highest level, at the transcendental level. Seeing her as mother conveys nothing but experiencing the self there. Now, let us live in another experience of how masters knew their death or knew their date of samadhi and how they dealt with it. They decide and take samadhi on a particular day. There are numerous such examples of masters taking samadhi, knowing fully in advance when the soul is going to leave their body. We dealt with a live example of how Buddha dealt with a woman approaching, which is one part of the verse. And second is we shall dealt a live example from Ananda Kutir of the sage Shivanandaji Maharaj dealing with death. Swami Venkateshananda, an ardent disciple of Swami Shivananda, writes about the last days of Swami Shivananda, his guru. Quote, "All who want sannyas should take initiation on the next Shivaratri day." This pronouncement was made by Swamiji at an evening satsang early in 1963. In view of his repeated references in recent years to his Mahasamadhi, Many saw this unbounded invitation as a sign of his imminent passing, particularly when he added, "Who knows what may happen next Shivaratri?" Swamiji, who had always kept spending and giving and teaching his disciples and residents of the ashram to trust in God and to give, suddenly began to manifest a different attitude. He started an economy drive, a thing unheard of for him, slashing ashram expenditure and talking of taking more care. When the days approached, early in May, he took Samadhi in June or July 1963. Early in May, Swamiji began a rigorous session of tape recordings. Each morning he would read from his books and printed sheets, forcefully and inspiringly, his voice ringing with authority and sincerity, while a disciple recorded. He did this for hours, unmindful of the strain. Every few days he would ask, "How much matter I have given? How long will it run?" Once during these sessions he said, "The sight is getting dim. Take whatever you want now. The hearing is getting dull. Tell whatever you want to tell now itself. The tongue is getting inarticulate. Ask whatever you want to ask." On a subsequent day, despite illness, Swamiji began dictating as usual. After a few sentences, he said quietly, "Happiness comes when the individual merges in God." There was a long pause. Then asked if he would continue, he said strongly in Tamil, "Porum." Enough. That Porum, or in modern Tamil, Bodhum, it meant that the recording is enough, and also it meant that his life is enough, and he had chosen to take Samadhi. Where is the fear of impending death for such masters? Two extreme things dealt in this particular verse has been dealt with two live examples of living masters who lived in the contemporary world for contemplation. Hari Om. That's it.